Okay. So I mentioned that we're gonna start today with a little bit of like deep dive into Genshin lore. So, without further ado, and with skipping all the plot twists and stuff. So, wait, where is us? This is us. We are Lumine. We also have our twin brother, and we were traveling across different worlds in a freaking spaceship. And turned out that the moment we reached Teyvat, our spaceship crashed. And we did not wake up. However, our twin did wake up, and he actually had like a normal life in Teyvat. He got to experience all of the Teyvat nationalities, the world, and everything that happened. There are different nations in Teyvat. We don't know all of them. We didn't see all of them. However, we were close to see all of them. Each nation is represented by a god. There is also like a supreme power ruling over the world, as we know when we wake up finally. And this is where things get complicated. There is something called heavenly principles, and they're overseers of the laws of Teyvat. And they also granted different gods from different nationalities special powers. Like those people were already gods, and they got like buffs in the form of nozis, which is like an item. Now, at some point we did wake up, and we were in a land called Canria. And we had our friends, we had our life there. We met our sibling. That part is kind of mushy. We don't really remember it that well, and we also don't remember what happened. Hi, Jason. And we also don't really remember what happened that well. But there was a cataclysm in Canria because Canria violated the laws of heavenly principles, and they met their demise. And this is when both us and our sibling tried to run away from Teyvat. However, as we tried to exit the world, we've met one of the heavenly principles, Asmodee, who was like, "You are not going anywhere. Sorry to break it to you. You are not going anywhere." And she kind of sealed our sibling, and everything went dark for us. And when we woke up, we kind of had like a very mushy memory. We kind of woke up like here, and as we were fishing, we fished out Paimon. Paimon you can see here. Paimon was drowning. And Paimon told us that she kind of knows this world, kind of doesn't, but she will help us out. She will help us find our sibling. And that's how our exploration started. We went on an adventure to look for our lost sibling, and we started in Mondstadt, the land of freedom, the land that is inspired heavily by like Germany. Like that's even in the freaking name of the main city, right? And it has a god of the wind called Venti, that we did meet during this story. During this story, the forces of the Abyss tried to corrupt the dragon that foresees over the Mondstadt and helps Mondstadt, and they tried to use him for their own like means, but we could not let that happen. We helped cleanse the dragon, and we made some new friends. However, none of them knew what happened to our sibling, or rather they didn't want to tell us anything about it. There was also one more thing happening. There was this sexy lady, Signora, that really wanted nozis for some reason. We did not know for what. She works for one of the gods, the Archon of Krai, or the Tsaritsa. And Venti was kind of reluctant to give it to her, but eventually he didn't really put up a fight when Signora took the noses away from him. Hi. And overall, we left with being a hero of Mondstadt, however, without too many answers. They were like, you know what, go to Nyaehh, there is a god of contracts, he's very, very old. He might help you. So we decided to embark on our adventure to Nyaehh. Not much. We were making like a small catch-up with the lore to continue the story quest that we're currently involved in, because many people here did not play Genshin. So, along our way, we've learned that the gods suffer from something that is called corrosion, which is not entirely explained, but this basically kills them in a way. We've also learned that 500 years ago, approximately at the same time when Canria was, punished for their sins, a lot of gods died. There was also a big gods war like thousands years earlier, and also a lot of gods died. We sometimes saw some remnants of the gods, we fought some remnants of the gods, and for example, Venti himself is not an original god. The original god was living here, and his name was the Carabrian, or something like that. I'm not really good with names. It's somewhere along those lines. However, the Carabrian was very cruel. To shield the nation from everything outside, he created like a shield over the city, and he became a tyrant, and people rebelled against him. And Venti at that point was just a small spirit, and in the whole process, while he was aiding the rebels and everything, he ascended into godhood. So that kind of sums up where we are with Mondstadt. Also, Venti seems to be very, very, very friendly with one of the heavenly principles that takes over the domain of, how is it called? Time. Istarath. You need to make this into a YouTube video. I mean, I'm planning on making like a short series when I explain the story, like each arc, in like less than 5 minutes. But I don't think that this will be it. We might make it into a highlight. Okay, now, we went to Liyue. Liyue, amazing land. This is basically based on the Chinese culture. Everything around here is based on the Chinese culture. And turned out that, yeah, there is a god. We just don't know who that is. And the god also has like some special spirit forces. Like, you can, like, they are not angels, but they're like demons that are assigned special tasks from the god. So we come here to see the god and talk with him, and they actually have like this yearly celebration when they celebrate him, being like, oh, so mighty because he created money and he's so good. And he freaking died. He freaking died on our own eyes. Later, it turned out that it actually wasn't him. He kind of wanted to step down from being a symbol for his nation. And he actually was already in terms with Fatui. Fatui is the organization that Signora is part of. And he was like, you know what, you're gonna help me with making my nation think that I'm dead, so they kind of move on and they live on their own and they grow on their own. They don't like use my shoulder to cling on. And I'm gonna give you the noses, all right. So he made a deal with them. The problem is that also started some problems. Like the Guyun Stone Forest is a piece of land that is a battlefield from the old Archon War, and the remnants of one of the old gods decided to, like, you know what, we're kind of gonna, like, destroy the city. So we helped not destroying the city, and we became the hero of Liyue again. However, the god of contracts was like, yeah, you know what, I'm kind of 6,000 years old. I could give you so many answers. However, I cannot because I'm bound by the contract. Maybe you will find your luck elsewhere. And Venti was a bard that befriended the spirit, and he died, and the spirit turned into the bard. Yeah, but that's like very, very low level. We're only on the high level to give like a brief explanation of what happened. We don't go into details. So that part is kind of like irrelevant for the high level storytelling here. The problem is that our next nation was Inazuma. And Inazuma was completely closed off because their god decided, like, the world is going shit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shield my nation. And I'm gonna lock it in the concept of eternity, because eternity is the best concept ever that could be. We made it. We made it to freaking Inazuma. We made it here. First of all, turned out freaking civil war. Narukami Island and Kanazuka Island and Yoshiri Island are the domain of, and this little island here, are the domain of the Electro Archon. However, this little land here, Watatsumi Island, they still believe in the old god. And they have their own priestess that they believe that is a reincarnation of that god, or rather like ascendant of that god. So, we had to figure out the freaking civil war. Turned out Fatui were already there and they were having their own agenda, and they were also after the Nazis. That was very, very sad experience to be in the freaking Inazuma with all the civil war topics and all the stuff that happened here in general. That was also the first time we actually saw people die on the screen, including La Signora, who just came to the freaking Electro Archon and was like, give me Nazis. She did not get the Nazis. Another Fatui member got the Nazis because he kidnapped us, and the right hand of the Electro Archon decided that, oh, you know what, that Gnosis has to be like something completely irrelevant because, you know, otherwise God would not give it to me. So I'm just gonna give it away because the Traveler seems more important and the Traveler can help me make my God get a grip. And we did fight freaking Electro Archon 2 times. On the first time, we absolutely freaking failed, but on the second time, we realized we learned more about the nation and we learned the importance of the desire and aspiration of the land. And here's a small, like, we're gonna, like, deviate from the main plot. Some people in the world of Tevat get blessed with special powers related to the elements. And those blessings are usually granted to people who either have some ambition or are aligned with some values of this specific element. And Raiden Shogun decided that, yeah, visions are bad, let's just take it away from our people. And the moment that she was taking away it from people, they were losing their minds. So not good, not good. But after the second time we fought her and we got aided with all the ambitions that she actually stole from people, we actually got to talk with her, and so did Miko, her right hand, and we actually made her get a grip. However, she was like, I cannot really help you. I've been like in the slumber for the past 500 years, sorry. There's also one more part. The current Electro Archon was not the original Electro Archon, her twin sister was. But she died in the Canaria 500 years ago, and that made our Electro Archon completely devastated. I mean, she suffered many more losses because she lost almost all of her friends during that times. They all got corrupted and she had to fight them, or they disappeared or vanished or died themselves. However, interesting parts about Inazuma is that you can see this slice coming from here up to here. And this is coming from the time where here Raiden Shogun was fighting the big-ass god that is a snake from Atatsumi Island. She sliced him so hard she sliced through like 3 islands. There's also one more cute part here, that is here, and this is a cat shrine. Just saying, this is a cat shrine. But yeah, we didn't learn much, like Raiden Shogun is kind of like still... She is definitely afraid of heavenly principles, and rightfully so, because they can just freaking drop ship you a big-ass sky nail that destroys your nation. And they did that many times. They also did that here, because here was also a kingdom once. And now it's just like desolated mountain. So not good, not good. Now, our next destination was the land of the goddess of knowledge and Dendro, Nahida. And as we came to Sumeru, that was horrible quest. That was very, very long quest. It was very nice quest, but it was also very horrible. We got freaking stuck in a loop. And we were experiencing the same day for many, many, many days. It turned out that all the people in Sumeru are connected in the system called Akashic Records. And they can process knowledge from it. It also turned out that people of Sumeru decided that their god is weak. And they kind of kidnapped her. So we helped her to get away. We also helped we kind of helped the Fatui, because one of the Fatui members is a god. Kind of. So Raiden Shogun herself, she doesn't have a physical form anymore. She created a puppet, a mech, that she put part of her soul into. And she had few trials before, and one of this trial was like a boy that was too emotional for her to be considered a perfect being, so she let him go. She abandoned him completely. He suffered a lot of losses. He was obviously extremely powerful, and he got caught by Fatui, kind of, and he obviously had his own agenda to become a proper god. So he tried to use Nahida to become a god. And that was also not in line with other Fatui members, so there was like this other guy that came here, and he's also kind of spooky because he lives in multiple timelines at the same time. He like shattered his soul completely. But even here we did not get too much information. Also, to help freaking Nahida, we had to also kill her kind of in the past to reset the timeline. So original Dendro God is forgotten by everyone because she got removed from Akashic records. Like literally no one except for us remembers she ever existed. That was very, very traumatizing scene, to be fair. There's also a lot of remnants from the old gods, like this entire part of the desert is just like remnants of the old gods and stories related to the old gods. But again, we did not get too many answers other than the fact that we are not from this world, but we are deeply connected with this world for some reason. And so we went to Fontaine. Fontaine, the land of the Hydro god. The most tragic storyline Genshin ever met. I'm not even kidding. So we have Furina. Furina, who's very theatrical, who's very dramatic in everything she does. And she claims, in a sense I would say we are isekai, but at the same time not. Hard to say because there's a lot of lore like unwrapping itself right now. But we came here, there's Furina, and there's people dying left and right. There's also this weird-ass guy who is like a sidekick of Furina, who's extremely powerful, and for some reason every time he cries, the rain comes. Like, what the hell? But it turned out that Furina is lying to her people. She's permanently telling them about the cataclysm that may come, that everyone will drown, and only she will be left. So we went kinda overboard. We created a team and we decided to put the Hydra Archon on a trial for her lives. Well, it turned out that that was already her plan to begin with. She wanted to cut her ties from Celestia, so she started it 500 years earlier. That guy, her sidekick, he is a dragon. He's actually a dragon and the rightful heir to the power of Hydra. She made him her sidekick for him to experience the life among humans because she knew that there will come a point in the story where she will have to step down and he will take over the power that rightfully belongs to him, and she wanted to make sure that at this point he will know humanity and its worth, and he will not judge it harshly. She split herself in half. A half of her was put in the device that was called, you might know it from the memes, the something or a Tris Cardinal mechanic, blah blah blah, right? And the other half that was inherently human spent 500 years waiting and dreading the moment if she makes any fucking mistake because her nation might die and she'll be left alone. Obviously no one knew about it until we freaking put her on a trial, and the verdict was one. The Hydra Archon has to die. So she did die. That's like the cutscene I tend to go back to quite often because it's very emotional for me and I really freaking cry every single time I see it. But she did die, and she did bestow the Hydra sovereign power onto the Novelette, her sidekick, the dragon. And he did forgive the sins of the people of Fontaine, thus stopped the cataclysm. But Furina herself doesn't hold any answers that she can give us. She was literally human for 500 years, suffering herself. Neither can Villette help us because he was kind of like detached from everything. However, what he does know, because he has this inherent like sense of justice, is that all the gods should actually give the power back to the sovereigns. But yeah, not many answers still. So we moved on to the next nation, Natlan. Natlan, the land of the Pyro Archon Mavuika, and the land of eternal war. It seems that they are kinda connected to the part of Teyvat we were not really aware of before, which is the Night Kingdom, and all the war that happens actually happens in the Night Kingdom, so you can consider it kind of like an astral travel. They can go there, they can die, but because it's an astral travel, they can go back to life. But that's only because of the power that Pyro Archon got. So here we had again fought the Abyss, like in every freaking nation. We did not lose the Gnosis, surprisingly, because there was also a great sacrifice from the Fatsui guy Capitano, who sacrificed himself to save Natlan, and also saved the people from Canria that died, because he was actually from Canria. Now, did I miss anything crucial for the main plot? Oh yeah, we did meet our sibling quite a few times. It turns out that he's like the freaking prince of the Abyss. He has his complete different agenda. He wants to reset the world for some reason, but he also doesn't know what the world should look like. And we're both, him and us, are kind of like descenders. I mean, he's more. That's why we are inherently tied to the world of Teyvat. But Mavuika could not help us too much. She herself made great sacrifices. Like 500 years ago, she died, knowing that she will reincarnate in the future, and when she will, then that will be when Natlan will face the great danger, and that great danger was the war that we actually took part in. Funnily enough, they made this mechanic that depending on your choices during the war, there was a different amount of people that died in that war. And you can actually check it if you go to the statue. You can see how many people died in your playthrough. But yeah, again, over time we learn more about the world, and what we've learned... What are you, a good general or a bad general? Average, I would say. Average. I've seen people having way more casualties than me. And also way less casualties than me. But yeah, over time, as we go through the world, we've learned a lot. For example, some mobs that we fight were humans in the past. They got corrupted by the Abyss. So that was kind of traumatizing to know that every time we farm them, we actually farm freaking people that had no choice to become monsters. I need to shrimp myself. Okay, I shrimped myself. So yeah, that was the part with Natlan. And now we're getting closer to Tsaritsa. Tsaritsa, whom for some reason wants to get all the Nazis. Well, right now kinda impossible with Furina's sacrifice. Because she wants to overtake the heavenly principles. She also has this like bunch... Wait, what the hell? What do you mean gift points? It's your gift points. Holy shit, I thought that it's like add points. And that you hacked the system. So, Tsaritsa has like this band of sidekicks, the Fatsui members, and they all help her to get her closer to her goal. However, they all have their different agendas. And right now we're getting closer to the land of Krai, we're getting closer to Snezhnaya, because we are in a Nod Krai. And it turns out that they are kinda detached from the Archon system. They have their own god, the Moon Goddess. And yesterday we've learned that the Moon Goddess is a freaking one of the Fatsui members and that they tried to use her. So now we are entangled in all the freaking shenanigans that are happening here. And I've mentioned that I'm proud to say I got at least 10% of what she said. I see. So I said that Mondstadt was Hello Minimaj. That was based on Germany. Then we had Yue based on China. Then we had Inazuma based on Japan. Then we had Sumeru, and Sumeru is basically like India, Iran, Egypt, stuff like that. Then we go to Natlan, and Natlan is a weird mixture of like Hawaii, Southern America, a little bit of Texas as well. And that now we are in Nod Krai, and Nod Krai is based on Baltic, Slavic, and Germanic mythologies mostly. All of the regions have their lore deeply rooted in mythologies. So for example, there is very, very nice channel by Ashikai, and she dissects the lore based on the myths, and she also makes assumptions on what could happen in the future based on the lore drops that we have. Very, very nice channel. Very, very insightful. Also, you can learn a lot, not only on Genshin, but on other stuff. Try not to cry at not cry challenge. I mean, so far there was nothing we could cry about, and I hope it stays this way, at least for this patch. So yeah, we came here, and what we've learned so far is that there were 3 moon goddesses, and now there's only 1. That Fatui for some reason tried to do some shenanigans with the moon remnants, and that there is Columbina, the current goddess of the moon, the goddess that everyone here worships. She was not meant to be a god. People made her god because she kind of fit their prophecies. And she was like, I have nothing to lose, I can be their god. But they were greedy, they wanted more and more and more and more. And at some point, she felt weak, that she cannot keep up with the expectations put on her. And she also realized that the sky she sees, the moon she sees on the sky is fake. So it all seems that Teyvat is like some sort of a simulation, or kind of like Amphorios right now, right? That is artificial world, which kind of aligns with some leaks from Honkai, the main game, because in Honkai, the main game, we did have a concept of creating artificial world, and there were screens showcasing, for example, some of the dragons from Teyvat. Also, in the freaking Star Rail, if you go to the Herta base, like her vault with the trinkets that she has, you can find there some trinkets from Teyvat too. I mean, all those worlds are intertwined. Keep in mind that like all Hoyo games are in one multiverse. So for example, if we look at Mavica, let's look at Mavica. She's Himeko. She is Himeko. So everyone was traumatized that she's gonna freaking die. She did not so far. She is Himeko. There is also... There's one more, but I don't remember all of them right now. Let me go. Also, the early pictures of Tsaritsa kind of show her in a way that she might be Bronya, might be someone else, we will see. There is a Venti in Honkai the Third, but there she is a girl. And there is obviously freaking Raiden. In Honkai Star we had Raiden Bossen Morimei, the nihility factor, and she's the eternity. So they are not XPs, and even freaking Hoyo said that they are not XPs. They are variants. They just live in the multiverse. Which is a very, very important part, because it pisses me off every time people call them freaking XPs, because they are not. They are not. I will never acknowledge them. Also, yeah, Sakura you might also know from other games. So yeah, we're currently here. We finished part of the story. We were helping Lauma, who's a moon priestess, and she knows very well that the sky is fake, that the moon is fake, but she also met the goddess. And she asked the goddess to stay hidden because she wants people to stop believing lies and stop rely on gods, to actually open their eyes. And for Columbina is alright. Columbina just stays hidden.